Welcome everyone to Alcoholically Correct. I am JB. I'm joined today and always by
Zach, here to tell you what you're wrong about today.
Of course. Welcome everyone. Welcome Zach. How's the week gone?
It's been good. It's tiring. Like, it is really tiring working.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of week 2, and I've completely forgotten how much work actually is.
That's been the thing. I've been out of work about 6 months now, and it wasn't a vacation I requested or planned for, but I've tried not to complain about it at all. Today, I'm glad I did not complain, and I enjoyed it because I found out I will be joining the workforce again in the next few weeks. So,
oh yeah, that'll be nice.
No more furlough. Apparently,
so you have to,
I don't. Oh, go ahead. What?
So you have to put pants on in the morning again? Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. But no underwear still. So, I mean, that's...
Oh,
sorry. Overshare. I was going to say, apparently what happened was our governor heard that I called BS on his 90% number, and he got on the phone with Disney and was like, hey, you need to pull back more people. At least JB, he's telling all, 20 people that listen to him every week or whatever. Is it 20 now? Can we pretend?
We can pretend, yeah. It's not 20, but we can pretend. Absolutely, we can pretend.
I do want to thank all of our new Facebook fans. We had a lot of likes this week. That was really nice. It was a nice little bump. I do want to also, thank our advertisement team, Zach, for helping me get it in front of people's faces. So,
you know what I'm most thankful for? I think we're going to have 1 week with no technical difficulties and you recording. It's a miracle. You don't have, you're not like, shaking. You're not having a little like, you're not Michael J. Foxing on me. You're not turning into a robot. I think we're actually going to be pretty good this time.
I hope you haven't jinxed us, but I like it. Speaking of which, and so that we don't jinx ourselves, should we get into shot one, round one, start going? Oh,
Let's
no, we got to talk about our drinks, don't we?
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah, I was going to say, please do. I didn't do anything exciting this week.
Yeah, no, so I'm actually starting with a milk stout nitro. So it's a nitrogen charged beer instead of carbon dioxide. A milk stout, so it's kind of like a smoothish stout. And it's by Left Hand Brewing Company out of Colorado.
Awesome. There's a high probability it's not at all related to the brewery, but it looks like my 1-year-old might be left-handed. She seems to prefer that hand a little bit. So, maybe she can get a job there one day. Yeah. Isn't that how that works? That's how it sounds.
I think so.
You have to be left-handed to work at that brewery, right?
Yeah, no? Yeah, sure.
We'll go with that.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with my Voodoo Ranger. That was really good. I really did enjoy that. I got a couple backup beers. I found some Sierra Nevada Summerfests that were good as well. So we'll see how many of these I get through. I got some Yinglings there. If you guys see Yingling, or if you're listening, if I mention my Yingling at all towards the end of the show, I've really been enjoying this show. So, or not enjoying this show. I'm not sure how it works, but
why not both?
Right. Speaking of enjoying the show, should we jump in on topic number 1 and take our first shot?
We can, but you do have to tell me what you're shooting.
Oh, okay. No, I got some JB Fire again. So I love calling it that. No offense, Jim Beam, but you're a big enough company. People know you, and, I'm JB. So it's nice to feel like the liquor was named after me.
There you go.
How about you? What's shooting over there?
I've gone back to vodka after my tequila incident of.
I was gonna say that. So tequila was an honest assessment.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, it's not that I won't do it again, but I do not. Me and tequila don't go well. I don't know why.
You needed a break.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, all right. Well, maybe for our 10th episode is when we'll do like a special shooter. Maybe we'll do something fancy.
Yeah, maybe.
Just thought. Don't put you on the spot or anything. Maybe there'll be a bottle at your door. You never know. All right.
We'll just do Jaeger. All right. Cheers.
Salud.
So, I believe that you're going to be starting.
I am.
I'm
taking topic number 1. I wanted to bring something to the attention of the audience in case I do disappear. In case my mom ever does listen to this, so she'll know why she doesn't see me on Facebook. I may be off Facebook coming up soon. Don't act too shocked. It was actually mentioning it to you that made me want to go ahead and just do this on the show rather than go round and round about it ourselves. I thought it would be a fun topic. So about a week ago, I got a notification thing on my Facebook that they were doing a study, essentially, and they were asking people to volunteer to give up 1 to 6 weeks of Facebook starting sometime in late September. So in the next couple of weeks. They didn't tell us what date. They don't tell us how many weeks. And, you know, being that I do a podcast / YouTube show, being that I, you know, am
slightly politically active.
Slightly politically active, all that stuff. Well, what I was going to say is I'm on my phone. I'm on Facebook a decent amount of time. And so I kind of thought, you know what? I can still do stuff for the show. I can still do Instagram and all that stuff. But I have been, as we've known, if anyone's been watching or listening these last few weeks, I have been driven up a wall by some of the stuff I've seen on Facebook. And I only imagine that's going to get way worse between now and November. And so I thought, especially since they are paying participants, they said that they would pay between $10 and $25 a week. They don't tell you how much you're going to get paid. They ask how much you're willing to do it for. And I checked all the boxes, so they could have paid me any of the amounts. And they actually maxed me out at the 25 a week, but I don't know how many weeks they're going to ask me to do. But anyway, and then I got the what do you call it? It's the University of Chicago that is running the study. And you mentioned that you kind of knew about it because you said that they're trying to essentially figure out how much impact they have on the election, right? Isn't that the idea of the study?
The whole study their idea is with Facebook is that they want to know how much of an effect Facebook has on politics in the United States. So they are, in the best manner possible, trying to remove people from Facebook and politics right before the election, when it matters the most.
Yeah.
I get where they're trying to come from in an idea, but I also don't. Plus, it's also Facebook. So,
right. Well, and that's the thing. So they do give you the out. They say at any time you can voluntarily leave the study at no penalty or anything. They give you the code and everything. You just go on the website. So at any point I could back out of it, which I did wonder if I would do it the full 6 weeks or what. I just kind of wanted to brag to my wife that I had offered to give up Facebook and I would have done it for free, but they were offering me up to like $150 to do it. But I didn't know for sure with, like you said, with the election and with the show, if it was something I wanted to fully walk away from during the election and all that. So I had really been on the fence. Now, there was an extra wrinkle. Today, I got offered by the University of Chicago, whoever's running the study, to sign up for a second study because I am doing the first study. I haven't got a lot of details on it, but I'll actually just read the email to the audience. So it's from 2020 Election Research Project. It says additional study opportunity. It's NORC at the University of Chicago is who's running this study. And it says, as a member of the 2020 Election Research Project, you've been selected to participate in an additional study to learn more about the apps you use and the sites you visit. You can earn up to $90 for choosing to participate in this additional study. To participate, you only need to install the software and keep it active for the 3-month study. So essentially, they are asking me to let them do what we all say that Facebook and all is doing anyways, but to go in and have free reign to look at my, everything, it sounds like, from the way that it's written, right?
Yeah, okay. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. So, first of all, Facebook has already completely violated all trust that they could possibly have for numerous reasons. Not least of which is when they sold all of our data to Cambridge Analytica, who then went and utilized it in a massively directed social media attack on the Grand Old Party's behalf. So they actually utilized
that was for
all
2016, right?
Yes. They utilized all this quote unquote research to see what they can do. And the data was meant to be used for research purposes only, which it was by Cambridge Analytica. They researched how they can influence an election and then sold that data. Oh, it's terrifying. But yeah, so now Facebook is asking people to step out of politics right as we're coming up on the election in the, most important time for politics. You'd think if they really wanted to do this, they would choose a slightly better time. I don't know, like a bi-year election where, we're only electing into the House or the Senate or whatever. Not when we have one of the largest, presidential elections in the history of a long time.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, so I grew up in a household where every election was, and I've laughed the last few years. If you look at pundits, every election is the most important election of our lifetime, the most important election. This one feels like it really might. It really might be. It really does feel like this could be a turning point one way or the other of where we're moving in the future for this whole country. So again, I'm still wrestling with the decision, truth be told. So for anyone who does listen to this, if you don't see me off of Facebook in October, it could be one of two things. They might have only asked me to do a week or two, and maybe I just went ahead and did the basic study. I'm not letting them have access to everything. If I'm not giving you the OnlyFans account of that teacher from Ohio, I'm not giving it to Facebook either. I'm keeping that information for myself. But no, I just want to tie it into.
I text you at least once every other day.
Come on, man. You know what? I'm saving it for your actual birthday. I BS'd your birthday a few episodes ago, so I thought when your real birthday comes up, I'll send it. Maybe I'll sign up. I don't know. Whatever. I'll do a month long or something for you. Anyways, before I go way off there, but I don't know. I'm definitely not doing the additional stuff. Especially at $90 total for 3 months. That's weird. They're like, hey, can we pay you a lot less?
Private data. I mean,
they were like,
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
Hey, can I have your entire browsing and application history for 3 months? And not only that, I would like you to install this software that you have no idea what it's actually doing on the back end.
Right. Right.
Come on,
No, I agree. So, like I say, and actually, I do wonder if that will help push me towards deciding to just bow out of the study altogether. We'll see what happens when they actually tell me what they want.
It gives you some insight into what they're really trying to do. If all they cared about was wondering about political influence, would they really want to know everything that you do?
Sure. Well, okay, so I wish I had my mustache and because I'd love to play devil's advocate for this one. Because there's two things. One, to your timing question. Does it make sense to do it now when it's an important, full-term election or whatever, not midterm election would be? And could they do it in 22 or whatever? The problem there is they know that, it's not even on the same scale, the level of involvement from a presidential election year to a midterm election year. You don't see you literally, maybe a week before, we'll see a handful of people talk about make sure to vote, midterms matter too. But they're posting that because they realize like, oh snap, we're supposed to vote next week. I didn't realize like it's not a presidential election. I wasn't paying attention. So I don't know what they can really gather information wise to see. I think it has to be during a presidential election.
No. You can determine a lot. It's called statistics. We're able to determine a crap ton with a little bit of data, or even just a large amount of data that's not entirely relevant. It's not hard to do. You can extrapolate.
That's not really true, though.
Easily.
The sample size does matter to a degree because you can only extrapolate from a sample size so much. So, in other words, I'm just using BS numbers, but if 50,000 people total post about the midterm election and 50 million people post and do things about the presidential year election, that's not the same scale. So any influence or lack of influence they find won't matter towards what they're doing in a presidential year.
That's not entirely true because, again, what you can do is there's correlation, and you can actually do it's regression analysis. There's about like 6 or 7 different things that you can do to actually take a smaller data set as long as it's comparable and extrapolate it out to a large data set. It's how people do A/B tests. It's statistical relevancy. It's easily doable. And again, the other thing is we've already done tons and tons of studies where we know that the place where most people nowadays get their information is from social media, such as Facebook.
Right.
Who would possibly benefit at this point from having less information out there?
Okay, so I'm still devil's advocate at this moment, remember. Because I'm also going to say, I know what you're getting at there, but if we would agree that the majority of blatant misinformation is coming from the ideological right, whether they're voters who post things that just are factually inaccurate. And again, maybe people out there are seeing the opposite of me, but I have a lot of right-leaning people because that's how I grew up and what I grew up always voting and believing and doing. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even call it out all the time because it's just exhausting. I'm like, it's so wrong. No one can actually believe this is real. Like, I have to move on. And so what I'm getting at there is, it's like the whole Trump strategy thing, as far as people say that he keeps throwing things into the water because the more that's out there, the more scandals you have, the more things like that. It's too much. It's overload, right? So actually, is there not an argument that less information, not from me personally, but in general, if they're not targeting the audience for this study, which we have no way of knowing, but that having less information, quote unquote, out there could actually benefit the facts, the truth, as opposed to the false information? I'm not saying it would, but I'm saying there's at least an argument for it that does make some sense.
There's an argument. I would not agree with it. I think that people would then be forced to get their information from even less reliable sources. And that's going to be the problem. Word of mouth only or something like that. And again, when you look at the target dollar amount for this study on how much you're going to pay, the target dollar amount is not really geared towards the people who have the best access to information. Or, I mean, for somebody like me, for $90 or whatever, $120 for a month of not using social media, that would not be worth it in any way, shape, or form.
But that's the part you're missing. The money to me was second. I said that earlier. I said where they said to select how much you'd be willing to do it for.
Sure.
And the reason I selected everything was because I look at social media as something that I use, not something that I need to use. And so if literally something is paying me not to use Facebook, it's almost a sense of pride to be like, yeah, I can give up Facebook for free. If it was for something beneficial, I'll definitely do it for $150. So I don't necessarily think, now I may be the exception, not the rule.
I was about to say, you are not the normal person that they're going to be probably targeting.
Sure.
They're going to be targeting a lot of people who probably are bringing most of the news home. You look at I don't know. I take a lot of issues with that study, especially Facebook's really, really shoddy history of analytics in the past and data.
You don't trust Facebook.
I don't trust Facebook. No, not in a million years. No.
Fair. No, and that's fair. And that totally makes sense. I don't want to get into it on this episode by any means, but I was just reading some crazy stuff about Peter Thiel. So if you guys have not looked into that, and he was heavily involved with Facebook. So no, I'm Cliff Notes this. So if I'm totally wrong, please feel free, folks, to call me out in the comments and say I'm pontificating on BS. But essentially he hosted a dinner with you know who Peter Thiel is, right? The billionaire. He was a big Trump financial supporter in 2016. Okay. All that. Okay. Again, apparently he's not even supporting him this year. I don't know enough about this to tell you what it means. Him personally, though, and I know he was heavily involved with Facebook. He hosted a dinner with a top white nationalist, someone who literally has talked about the need to have a state that is white people only, essentially. Yep. Anyways, and after this dinner that he hosted, he then emailed about what a great meeting it was and how much he enjoyed that. Yeah. So my point being, Yes, I have reason to have at least pause about trusting Facebook and their intentions with anything that they do. So, so I do understand where you would not want me to just, go along with it just because. So, like I say, we'll see what happens. I'll definitely keep the audience updated. If I end up backing out of it, I'll let you guys know, what, next week, the week after, whenever it happens, because it'll happen in the next few weeks. But, yeah, I don't know. It's, I'm on the fence. I definitely am on the fence. Because like I say, I'd love to give up Facebook in some ways. You know what I mean? Don't you have that desire where you're like, I'd like to just kind of throw away all my social media and disappear from it for a while?
I disabled Facebook for a month a while back, and then I turned it back on again, and the first post that on my thing made me regret turning it back on. But then I realized it is my sole mission to tell everyone why they're wrong. So therefore, I must take up this mantle. This mantle is mine to bear, and I will do it. I will do it.
I sent you your meme. I sent you your comic the other day where it's like, listen to your heart. And the person looks at their heart and it says, argue with strangers on Facebook. And I'm like, oh, look, it's
exactly
Zach's heart.
that. Yeah. Like I said, XKCD is my spirit animal in the episode where come to bed. No, why not? There's somebody wrong on the internet and I need to tell them.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty much that's all I wanted to share on that. I mean, we can definitely if you have any other crap talking you want to do about Facebook, we can, but
not really.
But since we're going to be sharing this on Facebook and that's where we have our most viewers, quote unquote, likes and stuff, then maybe we should just back off that and move on to topic number 2.
Yeah, I think
all
so.
Right.
Just make sure though when you lean up against your table that you don't shake because you get a little me a little dizzy there.
Oh, so what you're saying is you jinxed it with the technical difficulties thing.
I did. Yeah, just
Great.
Don't lean up against the table and rock it.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm trying to, right. Audience at home, I apologize for the YouTube viewers. For the podcast listeners, you apparently picked the best medium because audio should be crisp. All right.
Yes, there we go. All right.
Shot number 2.
Cheers. So, you mentioned this one in passing, which is kind of why I wanted to touch on it and expand on it. You mentioned you got into an argument with somebody, or you were going to get into an argument with somebody.
I bailed on the argument. I was like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. So, but the basic premise was that video games cause mass shootings or something along those lines.
Violence. So yeah. So I'll give you the what do you call it of what I saw that kicked this off is
Perfect.
It wasn't video games. This one was television, but it still was the bigger idea. And I think they both correlate with why I think it's not completely off base, but I don't think it's the leading factor to violence in people or anything. But hers was some study was done that said that they looked at people who had like a violent history, criminals, yada, 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 yada. And they looked at and their tendencies, and they basically people who watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the 90s were more correlated to people who had either violent act or at least violent whatever tendencies, like felt they were violent people in basically our age range, right? Because Power Rangers was a big thing when we were kids. So I mean it's still I guess around, but my point being it was that age range. It was people in their, late 20s, mid 30s. And they found a correlation to Power Ranger fans and violent people, supposedly. And her post was, oh, wow, maybe our parents were right all along. And I've only found out how, parents are wrong more as I've gotten older. I hope my mom doesn't listen. I lied. But so my point being, I brought that to you and then you were like, wow, this could be an interesting thing to kind of look deeper into. So you did some research there. I won't share why I don't think it's true yet. I don't think it's true full on. I think there's more to that story, even if that study proved that factual relativity going back to episodes.
That study proved there was a correlation.
Okay.
I'd like to bring up another quick topic. Did you know that ice cream sales are correlated to murders? The more ice cream sales there are, the more murders there are. Do you know why there's a correlation?
Is that in a geographical area or...
Overall, ice cream sales in the United States go up, murders in the United States go up.
Okay, no, that's crazy. Go ahead. Why?
Yeah, no, it's correlated because of summertime. More ice cream sales happen during summer. Since it's summer, there's more people who are active and outdoors and doing things. Therefore, it is the more active time of year, therefore more murders would occur. So, yeah, it's called correlation. You
Fair
can
enough.
prove correlation all day.
Not causation.
Correlation means nothing. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, well, so go ahead. So what all have you found on this as far as video games? I know that was your bigger angle a little bit, was the video game correlation, because there's more blatant violence, especially for teenagers and kids in video games than there are probably in television, depending on what they're watching.
Well, yeah, and so there definitely is some interesting things. I started with the video game angle because I'm a gamer and it makes sense. And so I wanted to see kind of what effects video games have on development of youths and and then it turned into the larger topics, and there are a lot of interesting things. So where do I even begin? So this one these studies have been being done for years and years. Right. And there's been some key pointed topics that have actually been a recurring theme, and that is that violence in any form that is being displayed, and this is like dark violence, so I don't know that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would really count, because you could see the misses there. And it had a feel-good story at the end of every episode, but there is a correlation to watching violence
there were some
occur.
two-parters. Do you not remember when the Green Ranger, Tommy went away? That's why it was so emotional when the White Ranger came back and we found out it was Tommy. How can you... I'm sorry, I'm having a flashback to 12-year-old JB. Keep going.
Yes, sorry, yes, there you go. Basically, so there is a direct correlation to violence in any sort of form and negative feelings and violent impulses right afterwards. So if you see something violent, you suddenly may have the urge to do something violent, more so than you would before, right? If you see, and it's just like the whole amped up thing, you see something, you watch an MMA fight or something like that on TV, you get hyped up. It's an extra, it hits the emotions and it hits the triggers, and violence in every form has been shown time and time again to perpetuate in that regard. Now, that being said, that's very different from watching Power Rangers and being a violent criminal at the age of 35.
Okay.
Studies have shown it's very short-term most of the time. However, there have been studies, so we're going to go down the negative rabbit hole. There have been a number of other studies that show that, especially video games, but basically all sorts of extensive usage of any sort of electronic device, screen-based device, leads to possible implications in the future. So most of the studies show that if boys are playing video games, and this includes non-violent ones, that from the age of 8 to 10, that it does not negatively impact their social growth or anything like that. Versus if girls are playing video games at the age of 8 for an extended period of time, then those girls at the age of 8 do not have the same social skills at the age of 10 that other girls have. So that's kind of a thing. The other thing we found is boys who start, or basically anybody who into the age of 5 who really starts playing video games, doesn't have the same social skills as somebody at the age of 8. So that's kind of the idea there, is that it seems to hamper some social development, playing extended video games or extended
screen time,
basically focused screen time. If you're watching with your family, it's a little different, but yeah, it's kind of that, and it's mostly inane screen time. It's stuff that doesn't catch your attention. But yeah, of course, it's going to reduce your social skills. You're not socializing with people. I think.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I was thinking those studies are slightly off there, in that, especially the type of games that people play. So even if you're playing online games where you're interacting with other people, it's going to be, for as a female, it's going to be almost mostly males, and the females are not going to really respond. So, of course, you're not really going to get a lot of that female to female interaction. The other thing that the studies found is there's actually a correlation to your previous social skills and your usage of video games. So it's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle there.
Right. Okay. So now I'll bring up what I was going to say, and then I bailed on because I decided that in an election year it wasn't worth getting into arguments on things like this. I wondered when I read the I didn't hear what you said. When I read the information,
It said lean back.
Oh. When I read the information,
you're on the table and you're shaking it.
I've been on the table. It's not shaking. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, folks. Zach forgets we're recording. Or he wants a good product.
You were just giving me violent
YouTube.
tendencies. I saw the violence, and I was getting violent tendencies.
And you're a gamer. Maybe it is true. Maybe I'm totally off when I say that I don't think it's true. I was going to say that too. My little joke about violent tendencies and about what video games teach us. I exclusively play sports games. Like, I mean, I don't mind shooter games. I'm just terrible at them. And so I exclusively play Madden, 2K, things like that. That being said, it doesn't make me any better at sports, unfortunately. So I don't know if it makes you better at things. So even if it makes you more violent, you might be terrible at being violent. Cause like you said, you might be kind of a, dweeb essentially that doesn't socialize well, which again, welcome home. Here we are sitting alone, home alone, drinking and stuff and whatever. Anyways, my point was this. If you do that study based on, okay, violent tendencies, violent past, did you watch Power Rangers as a kid? Of the people that say yes, they watched Power Rangers as a kid, how many of those were watching Power Rangers because they were watching a ton of television? Essentially what you were getting at. Because here's the other part of that screen time. Less involved parents. And I don't just mean that as a dig at parents. It may be that parents are on low income and they're both working, 2 jobs or a job and a half or whatever it is, and they can't be around their child more. So their child was in front of the television more, watching more things, and they weren't getting the development that you get when you have, a more stable home type setting and stuff. So that was what I was going to get at, was it's really hard by that correlation to assume that Power Rangers led to any of that violence. You have to then consider the home environment for the people that say, yes, I did watch Power Rangers a lot as a kid or whatever it may be.
I just want to come up. I just want to congratulate you on completely just understanding the topic of statistics far more than most people. Like, you got it innately. You're like, yeah, correlation does not equal causation by any means. Kind of like the whole ice cream cones and murderers.
Well, exactly. And I was going to say, I put this to you when I said why I think that, we're having so much fun with the show, and the show does seem to be, doing okay for what it is, right? There's a billion podcasts and all. There seems to be people that are at least interested in what we're doing here. I consider you really smart and also entertaining. I consider myself pretty entertaining and also kind of smart. But the more that we do these things, my whole goal in this was just getting a little bit smarter and hopefully helping you be that much more entertaining. And then we could really be, just fully rounded people. So yeah, I appreciate you giving me credit, considering you're here to tell me what I'm wrong about when I get something right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's actually such a big deal, because you just literally described how causation and correlation are differing so well, because that is a lot of the cases. Now, again, like the whole fact that violence does create emotions in the brains and trigger responses in the brains, that's a proven fact.
I get that. Extremely
violent video games and extremely violent TV do negatively impact future outcomes. And it's now the effect of it and the amount of negative impact is still up in the air, but there is a negative impact, and it's just simply how it is, which makes sense. However, that being said, there is a lot of positive impact video games have on people.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, and so this is the more interesting side of things, because I was doing it and I was like, oh, well, crap. My whole basic premise that video games don't cause violence is kind of off. Video games do cause some violence. Like some, keyword some violence. They desensitize viewers. But video games also add a lot of really useful skills to people. People who play video games, for example, have much better hand-eye coordination. Like, much, much better hand-eye coordination. They are far more... it just massively increases those. It increases your ability to spatially map things. Uh-oh. What happened there?
No, so I'm going to give you another correlation causation. It's really inappropriate, folks. So I won't curse or anything, but I do want you to at least give pause. To your point about the other tendencies of people who play lots of video games, I would have to assume that teenagers that play lots of video games are really good at using their hands for a few different things. So their hand-eye coordination could be really good for a lot of reasons.
Hey, now, this is ambidextrous hand-eye coordination. They don't just look at your dominant hand.
The thing is, that's called your stranger. Okay, I'm giving way too much information. This is my overshare. You thought I overshared last time. No. That was you. This is my overshare episode.
Yes. No,
all I'm saying is, no, it's my me time hand.
There you go. Yep.
That's a Scrubs quote. That's not my quote. I just want to correlation, not causation. Okay, go ahead.
He did say it. And I have that on video now and on audio. So
I was going to say, no. We are literally broadcasting it to the world. Everyone out there has it now. So it is my quote, whether I like it or not. Anyways, okay.
This is what you must live
you
with.
off for that, though.
That's okay. It was worth it. It was a worthwhile cutoff. It was that. Yeah. So, you have hand-eye coordination, which is massively improved. The other one that's kind of interesting is spatial awareness and spatial recognition. So your ability to be able to visually or to be able to map things out in your mind has actually been shown to massively improve when you play video games. And it's because you don't really have the ability to look 360 degrees around you anymore. So you don't have the normal awareness that you normally would in the real world. So you start to build a map of the game world in your head. And so that constant kind of learning thing actually causes you to become better at spatial awareness. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is another one that's really big. So what I'm saying there is like the ability to, I do A causes B causes C, that type of stuff, and
that makes sense. Yeah. Because you learn it both ways. Whether you learn by positive or negative reinforcement, either you're getting better at it with video games because you go, okay, if I do this, then that will happen, and I will advance in whatever it is, my mission or whatever it may be. And on the opposite, if you learn more from your negative reinforcements, when you mess something up, you start to go, okay, wait, I have to consider that if I do this, then that happens, on and on and on. And so it reinforces and sharpens those skills.
Yes, just like I never throw a slant over the middle against you in NFL, in any of the NFL games. I've learned that through negative reinforcement. I've learned that many times over. Fair. I mean, I still try it, but I continue to relearn it. I know it's a bad idea going into it.
I was going to say, as soon as you learn to stop pressing your corners when I have a speedster on the outside that I can throw straight down the edge, then you'll really be doing well. But that's a different conversation. You kick my butt in shooter games, so at least we have a nice balance here.
See, that's what I liked about that one, the one game that, like, Monsters NFL game or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It mixes both. You have the violence of like a wrestling shooter game, like of Madden, of the old Madden
Blitz. No. Blitz. Violence of Blitz. Yeah, the best Blitz football game ever. True Blitz was the best that was ever created.
Yes. So you get the violence of Blitz times like 10. And you just get the fun of actually like a good football game too. Like both of them are valid. It's a fun mix.
Yeah, so it was on Xbox, right? No, PlayStation. You have PS4.
PlayStation.
And maybe on Xbox as well. But there's a Monsters football game out there that you can download. Totally worth it. It's super cheap. It's awesome. If you liked Blitz, this is as close as you're probably going to find to what Blitz was. And like Zach said, even better. Because like on Blitz, you could beat the crap out of them and their head could pop off, but then they were back for the next play. On this one, you literally can lose the game if too many of your players get killed on the field. So this is a great, violent football game. But anyways.
Yes. Yeah, football wasn't violent enough. We had to add to it. But yeah, so like we were saying, it invokes critical thinking, increases your critical thinking skills. It increases just a number of really interesting things. Trying to think what were the other cool ones. Like you had there were just, it was like a giant list of basically any sort of another one that was kind of cool was awareness. Your awareness of situations. So this could eventually explain kind of the ADHD thing. This is my own personal pet theory that has absolutely zero evidence behind it. But that a lot of ADHD is caused by an influx of information being thrown at you as growing up that we are not used to. Just like humans only in the last 100 years have been able to drive above 60 miles an hour or hit above 20 miles an hour at any given point. And now we regularly go 80 miles an hour down I-4 while playing on our phones and doing 6 other things and only get into an accident like once every other day.
Right.
But, just the amount of more information that's being thrown at you has made it so your brain is very plastic. Like it is very, very quick to change and adapt to situations. But as more information is thrown at it, the way it adapts is through ADHD. But one of the things that they've shown with video games is it does increase your general awareness. It increases your response time to things. So it's kind of an interesting thing there. And again, that's just kind of spitballing. The fact that it increases those skills is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So, but is there not totally, a lot of those make sense, but there's still obviously an argument with causation versus correlation of the studies that prove the people who are better at these things versus the people who are worse, right? Not the violence one you brought up totally made sense, especially if they were literally studying people who were playing certain types of games and then, like you said, short-term effects. Those made sense. But then the others, even though I agree with you, if I was a big anti-gamer, I could also say, well, that's just causation, not correlation, right?
And the difference is the style of study. So you can get correlation and not causation when you start to look at other like longitudinal studies, or if you start to look at retrospective studies. But when you start to do experimental studies, that's not really a thing.
Right. Well,
so
all I know is this.
Studies.
It's not, well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to bring this up when I brought up the television part of it. I have a personal story, which is obviously, it's what I do in these episodes. I have a personal story that connects to this. I remember being, I'm going to say 12. I could be wrong on the age. And I remember apparently I got a little too rowdy and, a little too whatever with one of my siblings or something. I'm not a violent person. Everyone who knows me knows I'm the opposite of a violent person. But what I was saying
is... Big giant teddy bear.
Big giant teddy bear, exactly. With the furlough ending, though, enjoy the beards while it's here, ladies and gents, because it may be trimmed down or shaved down completely by the time I go back. Anyways, what I was getting at was this. I do remember my mom, one time, I did something. I don't know if I got into a fight with one of my brothers or something. And she's like, you've been watching too much Gargoyles. You're not going to watch Gargoyles for 2 weeks.
No Gargoyles for you. But Darkwing Duck? Totally
Absolutely.
Cool.
But it was Gargoyles. I don't know what it was. Obviously, I loved Gargoyles at the time, and I did. Gargoyles is great. But my point was, I actually felt more violent after getting Gargoyles banned than I ever did watching Gargoyles. I was like, I'm going to kick someone's ass. This is bullshit. But anyways, so that's my own personal... 12-year-old JB was what?
12-year-old JB was just like, I'm going to kick someone's ass.
I'm going to kick someone's ass. Oh, wait, I still can't kick anyone's ass and I'm 33, so... Anyways, but that's my own personal. So my point being there was I'm not violent at all. I enjoyed Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Gargoyles. I didn't play a lot of violent video games, so take from that what you will. But football is pretty violent sport, so it's a pretty violent game, and I played that thing. Yeah, I still play it like I'm a 12-year-old kid, so I play it as much as I can. But that's my input on that.
Yeah, the thing that a lot of people forget about when you start to talk about video games is that video games aren't all violent, though. You take a look at games like Minecraft today,
sure,
where it is pure creativity. Like, it is not about doing anything. It's about building a world that's all your own. Just that whole thing. You have games in our past, like Dr. Brain's thinking game, Oregon Trail. You had Freddy the Fish growing up. Some people like all these types of games.
Freddy the Fish.
And it was like a DOS game. But there were all those old games that we used to play that had educational aspects to them, and they do a good job of helping teach people those things. So there's a good mix there. So it's interesting, but yeah, it's
what I think the point is this: if you have kids, you don't have to worry about, they can't see this and they can see that and they shouldn't watch this. I mean, figure that stuff out. Follow your gut. Be responsible. Like my daughter only watches roughly no more than like a long day for her screen time wise is 3 hours. She gets nothing in front of iPads or any of that stuff unless she's calling like a grandparent. But she watches about 30 minutes to an hour of Sesame Street before her nap. And she watches between 1 and sometimes, I don't think she ever gets to 2 hours at night. But my point is this, like, we're doing that because we have the ability in my furlough to not put her in front of a screen, not do that stuff. But it's all about, I think, what you're teaching your kids around that screen time, right?
Content and moderation. You shouldn't introduce your daughter to watch, terrible things like, I don't know, Twilight. Your daughter should not be watching Twilight right now. Nobody should ever watch Twilight.
I was going to say, what age is appropriate for that? There's no age for Twilight.
No, everyone, it's always a mistake. But yeah,
even if Robert Pattinson somehow becomes the best Batman that ever lived, I still will not go back and enjoy Twilight.
I think that's a completely acceptable choice.
But I get what you're saying. Right. But I get what you're saying. Yes, it matters what you're showing her. I mean, even in that, like, we're monitoring, because the thing is, when she's watching Sesame Street for that hour before her nap, I'm watching it with her. Or is my wife, or when we're watching those shows at night.
Things?
Oh man, dude, I can almost count to 30 now. Like, that's a lot. Like, I know, it's big. I did learn how to make bubbles.
Oh. You didn't know how to make bubbles before?
No. Okay, wait. How do you make your own bubbles? If you were going to make a bubble solution, like you're going to blow bubbles, what are you putting in it?
You're going to put dish soap in it. Anything with a surfactant like that. And then you mix it with water.
Nope. It's like water, corn syrup, and then I forget what the other thing is. So I didn't learn it fully. But the point is, you're wrong.
No. I'm telling you right now, you put you put a bit of Dawn dish soap in with with water. You mix that up well, and you get it, and it's going to bubble very well. It's literally designed to bubble. It's
gonna make bubbles, but I'm talking about blowable bubbles.
It makes blowable bubbles. Have you not ever done that, where you take one of those and you get a ring and you go ahead, you dip it in outside, and you take it and you run and you get giant bubbles? What happened with you in your childhood? You had a terrible childhood. You weren't allowed to watch Gargoyles. You weren't allowed to watch Gargoyles. You didn't learn how to make bubbles.
Only for 2 weeks. And I got to watch the Power Rangers during those 2 weeks, so I learned how to be plenty violent. So I had a fine childhood.
Look at how it's changed you. That gargoyle moment has scarred you forever.
It scarred me for life. I mean, it's...
to this day. Your mother should be ashamed.
Oh man. Luckily she's not watching or listening, so she won't be ashamed. Anyways, any other pertinent facts on that?
No, I mean, that was kind of it. I think that covered most of it. Like, there's a lot of really good... Oh, I was going to yell at you for no screen time on the iPad for your daughter. There are some really good educational games and also games that work on their hand-eye coordination and such, teach them shapes and stuff on the iPad that are very interactive.
So my daughter is 1 year old, and she will be 2. This is September. You're getting this a little later than we're recording it. We're actually recording on September 11th, interestingly enough. So we'll give a nice little remembrance while I'm mentioning that. But just because I don't want to say it's September 11th and not say anything. So she'll be 2 on November 6th. My daughter knows stars, squares, triangles, rectangles, diamonds, and hearts. My daughter can count to almost 20.
Ooh,
she gets a little lost
First
between
of all,
17 and 20.
we need to stop you right now because she's already failed. Where's the horseshoes and the blue moons?
No,
and the rainbows too.
I was going to say, she does not eat Lucky Charms. We feed her a little better than that, too. But my point is,
Wow,
so what did that make her, 22?
You're so neglectful. So neglectful. Imagine if your mom was like, no gargoyles and no Lucky Charms for 2
weeks.
She's
only 1! Eventually, she'll get Lucky Charms, I promise. My point is that she's actually super advanced. Better than iPads if and when you can. And I mentioned when I said that some of the Power Ranger viewers, it's not the parents' fault. I don't want people to feel like they're jerks because they have to work, 16 hours a day to provide for their family. That's economical issues that we've talked about in the past and that we'll talk about in the future. But that because I've been home and because this is what she likes, we read to her. We read books and nothing. We've been reading books to her since she was, a month old, 2 months old.
Wow.
Nothing
teaches
kids
months?
like reading. No, a month.
No, I said a whole 12 months? Like, you've been doing it for a whole 12 months?
No, now it's 21 months. Remember, 22. Anyways,
right, but
that's not the point.
You're saying she's a year old. I'm just saying, you're just like, oh, she's very advanced for a year old. Now she's 22 months. Get it straight, JB.
I admitted that right off the bat. My point was this. Read to your kids. Read books as much as you can. Every minute you're with them, just show them books. Even if they feel too young, read books to your kids. Don't be afraid of screen time. I do agree. And to Zach's point, if you need to, or you're going to put them in front of an iPad, put them in front of their television, make it something beneficial. Find those things that, like you said, benefit their hand-eye coordination, benefit their education, whatever it may be. Don't let them watch YouTube videos of kids opening games and toys and stuff. I'm not saying don't do that at all, but I'm saying, make sure that you're utilizing that time because they are developing, and the more you develop them early, the more developed they'll be later. So anyways, I don't know how I got on that topic. Thank you.
It wasn't necessarily it was kind of right in the flow of what we were talking about. So
okay, good. Yeah.
I think that covers everything that I had for this.
Awesome.
I got nothing else for
I
you.
hope you have more for the next topic because I know you wanted to talk about some tropical storms and stuff, right?
Always shooting your load early.
Oh, no, that is a teaser, my friend. Tropical storms and stuff, they don't know what we're talking about yet. Let's take the shot and you tell them where we're going.
Okay, absolutely. All right, cheers.
Salute!
All right, so we're going to be talking about tropical storms and stuff.
Damn it, I did give it away. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
You ruin everything. Everything. This is why I can't have nice things or even mediocre or terrible things because you take those from me too.
So the question is it because I grew up watching Gargoyles or because of that 2 weeks where I was banned from watching Gargoyles?
This is where you learned everything. You learned to take away everything great during those 2 weeks.
There we go. Okay, good. All right. So anyway, tropical storms and stuff.
Our tropical storms and such. Actually, what I really wanted to talk about is So we are having a record-breaking tropical season this year, just blowing records straight away. Right now, there are on the NHC's 5-day forecast, like 5 different areas of just like they're watching. Half of them are overlapping. It's insane. And so it got me thinking. We're already at letter like P, or like there's no Q, which is something I learned. Like R, we had like R, where we have S now. So we're at like letter S.
Why is there no Q? Wait. Okay, wait. I have my theory of what happens after we max out our letters. I guess not hit Z, because I'm guessing if there's no Q, there may not be a Z.
That is correct for the instance of the North America, or like the North Americans. The Asians one get to use Z.
Wait. Well, I guess we don't get hit by the same storms ever. Because I was going to say, how do we name storms differently than people on different parts of the world? But that makes sense. Okay, wait. I have my theory of what happens, so I don't want you to tell me what happens after we hit the top of our letters. But before we discuss that, nope, never mind. We should discuss that because I'm drunk enough to forget where I was going. Go ahead.
Correct. All right, so there's only 21 letters every year of names. 21 names that are devoted to that. Is that
the Hawaiian
season.
Alphabet? Is that what we're using? Don't they have less letters than the rest of America? That's a thing.
Sure.
Oh, well, okay, folks, we're not going to look it up now, but if you are listening this week, make sure to listen next week. I promise you I will talk about the difference between the general American alphabet and the Hawaiian alphabet, even if it's not a topic.
Which means that this is, you're going to need to fully educate yourself on this, because I'm going to have a lot of questions.
Well, obviously. Sure. Go for it. Okay, anyway, so that was my joke. Hopefully that joke will hold true to any Honolulu.
Otherwise, you're going to feel like a real asshole next week when you're talking for like 15 minutes about how you're wrong.
That's true. But I let the whole show start off talking about how I'm probably going to be wrong, so I kind of set myself up for it. It's lowering expectations. As we know on our website, I'm in sales. That's what you do. You under promise and over deliver.
Wait, no, that's not sales. That's engineers' jobs.
Well, sales do that too. That literally
sales
a lot of sales
over promise, and they blame the engineers when they get under delivered.
Okay,
wait,
well,
as an engineer, I'm telling you how this works. I have been on the other end of this. Wait, now stop.
Sounds to me like you have shitty sales teams, but yes, we're going way off topic. We will bring up Honolulu. I promise you I'll bring up Hawaii's alphabet versus the general alphabet next week. Otherwise, Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's only 21 letters that we use for North American storms. So that's what started this question. So I kind of was like, oh, we name storms. Right, cool. Where'd that start? Well, that actually started in the 50s. So before the 50s, they just used to name by this was storm number 1 of 1950. Like that was the storm name. And then like in 1953, the US was like, oh, this is boring. You know what? We're going to start naming our storms. But kind of like we name boats, we're only going to name them after females. Now, this is actually a historically like naval thing. They would sailors would normally name storms that they encountered after their significant other at home. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I leave up to the audience to decide. I'm just
reporting the facts, just the facts, ma'am.
Yep, exactly. So, and then in 1978 is when we started using both male and female names. But yeah. So,
wait, when did that happen? The 70s?
78. Okay. Into the 78 is when we got male and female.
Before I was born, that's what matters.
Yes, so that's why you don't know anything about this topic. But yeah,
wrong.
No.
That's why that's my theory on what happens after we max out on letters. But go ahead. I don't want you to tell us what happens if we hit whatever the last letter is.
This year.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, we have a static list of names. And they're rotated out. No, so nowadays we have a static list of names, and they're rotated out every 6 years. So in 6 years from now, we're going to have the same named storms as we have this year, unless one of those storms is so deadly or terrible that we can never reuse that storm name.
Wait, that happens?
Hurricane Andrew.
Katrina, I would assume.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, any of those. Well, I think we have like 2 this year already that did so much damage. One just wrecked Texas. And then there was one that completely destroyed like Puerto Rico again, or Cuba. I don't know. Destroyed another area and killed plenty of people, which sounds very nonchalant and cavalier. But
I was gonna say, right. We don't mean we don't care. We just can't do anything about it, so we don't have the exact information. It's all too depressing.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like I was like, no, it's just awful. And there are named storms every year that get retired, basically, if it was so terrible. But every 6 years, they have a set list and they use that set list. So in 6 years from now, so in 2026, we're gonna have the same named storms other than the ones that get retired. And again, we only in the North Atlantic, we only use 21 names per season. So
okay, wait. So if we max out, now I know you said it becomes gender neutral. I want to go ahead and put this out there because you may let it slip out. You said it becomes gender neutral. That was my theory. I know that maybe I'm misunderstanding this too, but I thought I remembered something about this. So until the 70s, all storm names you said were female, right? Like boats and cars and all that. Okay. I thought that essentially it would max out the 21 letters they use and it would be female names, and then they would circle back to using male names at that point. But
so you're telling me that Hurricane Andrew was not the first storm of that year?
Right, was the 22nd storm of that year, right? Because you said there's 21 used. So 21, 22 would have been Andrew. Maybe not. Maybe there was a Alex or whatever, Aaron with
Andrew
2 A's.
was the first storm of that year.
Okay,
Andrew
fair
was
enough.
100% the first storm of that year.
And they could, but I could still be right. They could swap off genders each year to make it less gender attacking.
So they just, again, like they have a list of both male and female names. Like you were saying before, we don't use Z here in the US because there's apparently not enough Z names. Zach, Zoe,
Zion.
Zach. That's not a real name. That's a
there's a NBA budding superstar who is named Zion Williamson, so I'm gonna say that's a real name. Go ahead.
But nah, okay, I'm not going.
Yeah, move on in your wrongness. It's okay. Go ahead. So, anyways, I guarantee you, anyone here who watches any form of sports knows who Zion Williamson is.
I know Zion. I know
you do too. Exactly right.
Right, but I don't consider that a name, a common name, because that's one of the key things. Most of these names are relatively common for hurricane storms because they're supposed to resonate across the entire North Atlantic basin.
If his career keeps going the way people think it might, if he can stay healthy, then Zion may become a common name.
Sure.
So I just want to let you know that.
You're not wrong there. But yeah, so no, after 21 storms, we just give up and we go straight to the Greek alphabet. Storm Alpha,
what does that mean?
Storm Beta, Storm Delta, Storm Gamma, Storm Epsilon, Storm whatever the heck else. That's when we know we're screwed.
I was gonna say that. That's actually interesting. Holy shit. So if we start to see Storm Alpha, we are in trouble.
It is, as you said, September 11th. We are at we just had Renee, and then we had letter S just pop up. We only have 3 more named storms this season.
So we're going to see it.
Yeah. Unless this season just kind of gives up the ghost. Yeah. We are going to have multiple Greek alphabet named storms.
I'm just going to tell you that it being September 11th on this recording date, and let's see, this is a Friday. So 2 Fridays from now would be the 18th, the 25th, minus Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, so the 22nd. So the 22nd is the first date that anyone's hearing this. Okay. So September 22nd, we're already on what name did you just say?
We're at S, I believe, already.
S. Okay. And we're not going to get to, it's not 26, it's 21. So we're not getting all the letters.
21. Correct.
If I'm not mistaken, the hurricane season runs till November, correct?
Yeah.
They may have to figure out what happens after we finish the Greek alphabet. I don't know if they've considered it, but they might want to get on that pretty soon. Because if it's not this year, it sounds like it's going to be next year.
Sir, climate change doesn't exist.
Hey, okay. I am going to put the first ever fire to our whatever next week. I have always been a person who believes climate change does exist, but I don't know how much of it is man-made and how much of it is God. I don't want to get into religion. That's okay.
No, religion isn't going to be touched because at best you're going to be able to go ahead and start talking about the non-anthropomorphic effects versus the anthropomorphic effects. And you are going to get completely lambasted, and I am literally going to nail you to a cross.
Are you literally going to do that? Because that actually literally happened, and that guy was a savior. So, I mean, other people happen, but I'm just saying. Anyways, whatever.
To a lot of people.
I know. It was a common thing. Anyways, that's not the point I wanted to get into. My point was, I actually would love, and not because I disagree, because I would love to learn more. I'd love for that to be a next week-ish topic, if we can.
Okay. Absolutely. That's on you. You started off, and I will destroy you. Look, you're the one who's bringing it at me.
I am. So my big thing is, I think God's bigger than science, and I don't mean that in the annoying Trump voter way of like, I don't care what science tells me, God's more important. I just mean that science can't always explain away God. All I'm saying with that is, I want to learn from you. That's why I brought this up for next week. I want you to kind of bring information to us, to me, to the of climate change and man-made climate change especially. So anyway, so yeah.
I just want to be really clear for a quick second. This is gonna make you. This is some bad timing for you. Mitch McConnell earlier today literally admitted that climate change is man-made.
Good. No. Oh God, I'm not saying it's not. I'm really not saying it's not. I am exposing my ignorance. I really am. Like, no matter what next week brings us, I am saying I have not taken the time, effort, or energy to look into man-made climate change. And I do believe in God. So I also believe that some of this stuff is just going to be God. And so I want to learn more. So I am kind of putting the onus on you to teach me and our masses.
I want you to start the conversation, and then I want to tear you apart.
That's fine. I think I have to, right? Next week, you kind of led the main topic this week, so it's on me to lead the next topic anyway.
And I will happily school you. Look, this whole conversation reminds me, and I could save this for next week, but it just entertains me too much. Got off the topic of the Greek alphabet and such, but there really isn't much more to say. It really did, and
storms and all, but I think it's important. I think it'll be good for next week, and I think it'll be good for the future. And I want to learn. That's my whole point. I'm here to learn, as opposed to people who go, I don't want to learn because your science is bullshit because of my Bible. That's not the truth. I believe in God, and I can also believe that science and God can work together. So,
sure. I mean, the Bible does say that God doesn't lie to you, so why would he put things in the world that point to very, very specific events and they tie together? And why would he lie about those?
For sure.
Either way, I was in Glacier National Park and with my family, and we went on a tour of Glacier National Park. Well, Glacier National Park used to have hundreds of it used to be something like 100 and something glaciers, each individual unique glaciers. when we were there, there were, I think, 22. And now we're down to about 18 glaciers or something ridiculous. And they're dropping rapidly in size every year. In fact, ones that used to be there forever are gone already. And it's a very thing. And so the tour guide that we were with, he goes ahead and drops the whole line of, yeah, no. So, a lot of science. So some scientists believe that this is caused by climate change from anthropomorphic reasons, human caused. And then, other scientists say that that it's caused just purely by, the cycle that we're in. And so, me being me, I don't not chime in. I went, yeah, I heard 99 out of 100 dentists recommend toothpaste, but that other one dentist, he's the one you want to listen to, right? Because that's where we're at in terms of actuality versus man-made climate change and non-man-made climate change. That's
I mean, I get that for sure. We'll talk about that. It sounds like next week.
Yes.
I think we've accidentally set the table for next week, right?
I've been set off.
I'm genuinely not disagreeing with you. I am admitting my own ignorance. I am not. The thing is, I am a believer, right? And so I believe that no matter what we talk about, no matter what we debate, no matter what we believe, that God's in control. And I truly believe that. And nothing next week you tell me will be different about that either. However, I believe that God gives us free will because our free will matters to how everything unfolds. Essentially, I know we've teased the religion debate, and we're not getting into it next week either, even if we talk climate change. But my point being that God essentially gives us doors, and he knows which doors we'll pick because he's God, but he also knows what's on the other side of each door, and then we pick those doors, right? So he knows, but he doesn't force us. My point was this.
You just took that free will debate and just were like, I'm not touching it.
I mean, kind of. But my point was this. My point was this. So I'm not going to just go like, if we do this, this will definitely happen. If we do that, that will definitely happen. Because I do believe there is a overarching power that knows what's actually going to happen. But my point was this. I'm always willing to learn because I believe that people are utilizing that faith to go, I can do whatever I want because it doesn't matter because God's in control. And it's like, no. You thinking that is what God knows is going to happen, but not what you should be trying to do. So let me try and show you what you should do. Anyways.
You're really fighting for this religion debate, and I'm not going to take the bait. I am just going to drop this line that...
At least 2 weeks, maybe 3, maybe 4.
Be a while.
But my point is...
It's going to be a while.
That's fair.
But I'm just going to drop this one. The seventh day God rested. Who's to say what the seventh day actually things? Because according to God, he built the earth in one day. So as far as I'm concerned, if the Christian religion is true, then God is still probably resting and not influencing minor things on this one planet on a daily basis when there's an entire universe that exists.
Now that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Because he set rules in place. Those rules are working. Why would he suddenly break those rules? Because a bunch of apes on a planet decided that they want to start shooting carbon out their assholes.
Yeah. No. That's all fair. And the thing is, I'll say this, like, I actually brought that up one time when someone said the 7 days. Oh, God did this on the first day and the second day and the third day. I go, yeah, but days, the way we established them in 2000, whatever year it was, I was having this debate in a Sunday school, and days based on the Bible may have been totally different things because God has a totally different understanding of time if you believe in God in that way.
Very quickly, I'm just gonna shut that down, or just agree with you there. The Greek word and the ancient Hebrew word for days is got a different meaning than the word days that we translate in the New King James, etc. It's representing a date of time. B, how do you have a 24-hour day before the sun was created?
There.
Without the Earth rotating around the sun and spinning, what do you define a day as?
Right.
Either way, I think we've gotten.
And actually, wait. Let me say that. Let me agree with you, and then we'll wrap up the show. If God said on the first day, on the second day, like, how freaking narcissistic is it as you a believer to believe that a day is 24 hours to God? You don't know that. So you don't know what he's talking about when he says on the first day. He might mean on the first 1,000 years. For the first 1,000 years, I created dinosaurs. And then in the next 1,000 years, I created this. And then anyways, but yeah, so your point is absolutely correct. No matter where we end up, we'll agree on that.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, I think that about covers it. So right now,
we're gonna wrap up there.
We are. We're not going to cheers yet. We have to beg our subscribers, well, our not subscribers, to subscribe. I mean, isn't that what all good people do? Subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on Twitter,
on your
Facebook,
or
Instagram,
or
anything?
Your podcast, your favorite
or
podcast
your favorite
network.
podcast. Okay, to that point, this was created as a podcast. So no matter what you do, even if you ignore us on every other platform, please follow or subscribe on your Spotify, your Pocket Cast, your
Google Podcast, your iTunes, Overcast, etc., over and all.
Yes,
because that makes me happy. And who gives a crap about JBs? Like,
Indeed.
Cares? This is all I want.
JB seems very YouTube focused, and nobody cares about JB's wants or feelings here. So yes, please,
exactly.
Whatever you subscribe on, here's the most important fact.
Don't make me take Gargoyles away from him again.
So before that happens, whether you end up following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any of those things, Spotify, Pocket Cast, yada, 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 please just follow or subscribe. Even if you don't listen to the next episode, wait until one grabs your interest. But we would appreciate the encouragement to keep these episodes going. All right?
Perfect.
Zach, well, anything else to leave our audience with?
Nothing so much.
Then I guess we gotta cheers away.
We may not always be correct, but we will always be alcoholically
correct. Cheers.
Cheers.